Questions?
Questions? Right down front, Gabe. Hang on just a second. Get the mic, please. Sorry about that.
Forgot how this worked. How important was it for you to add?
Been a while, huh?
Yeah, for you to add defensive line help immediately, especially on the heels of losing two good ones.
Well, we set out at the beginning to increase not only our front, but the profile of our front. To be bigger on the offensive line. I think we achieved that with a full group, full set of linemen, and then to get a better range of bodies, bigger bodies, not just mass but length, and increase the profile of the front. And there were some tough decisions made towards the end of the recruiting based on that, but it worked out for us. You look at the size of a couple of these guys, and with Peavy and with Josh Rogers, those guys are long, more Kingsley looking guys that Kingsley was not as highly recruited as some of the other guys, but has been highly effective in the SEC. So from that standpoint, and really, losing two really elite defensive ends to get out and dip into junior college and get one of the top pass rushers in the country, and then another highly recruited and high motor guy and Tyree, just to fill those needs. So, from our standpoint, just looking through the whole class, I think what we set out to do in the front, the offensive and defensive lines, and then a complete set of linebackers, with two of them already on campus, I think that was the first priority.
Other questions? Second row, Ben.
Coach, I think four of the key guys in this class, they were committed to Baylor at one point in time. When they all slowly started decommitting, did you think that there was going to be a way to get all four of them to commit and be a big part of this class?
No, we treated them individually, and we'd had relationships with all of them at one time. Some of them were committed to other places besides Baylor, actually, and you look at Jamon's recruitment was quite different than Kellen's recruitment, and it may have helped that they were roommates at IMG, and Kellen was in his ear all the time. That didn't hurt, but we treated them all differently, and we'd had those relationships with those guys, and it gets back to what I was talking about, the last press conference we had, just about the things that are important to this class. I think it says a lot about these guys, their families. I think it says a lot about this coaching staff that these guys trusted us. We built that trust over time, not just what happened last summer at Baylor, but there were a number of guys, and to have 26 guys that were really committed, last year, to hold through that amount of time says something about the relationships that were built a long time ago, and not to lose any of those guys and add another guy today says volumes about these guys and their character and what they really want, and they want to be an Aggie, and 9 of them being here already doesn't hurt. With workouts going on, and you take 2 weekends ago, our official visit weekend, we had 15 guys in here. 12 of them were committed, and 9 of those guys were already on campus besides the 12. So there's 21 guys who were committed on one visit, 9 in school already. So the camaraderie of these guys and their communication between each other became big, and this is a close group, and you can see it, from the outside through social media, but you get a better feel from it from inside when just talking with them.
Far left, Cease.
Kevin, the two area kids, Morris and Paul, they played a multitude of positions. You settled on cornerback for one, and Paul making the switch from quarterback to inside receiver. You could talk about what specifically you see to do that for those guys moving forward.
It's kind of interesting. You know, Devin was one of the first guys we targeted early last year in January of a year ago. And, you know, he was right down the road, Caldwell, and just a really athletic, long-limbed guy. And, you know, he's a guy that was an early commit, really wanted to stay closer, but very, very talented. And, you know, you always got to look at Mr. Football in the state of Texas. I just put it that way. You know, that guy can usually play ball. And then, you know, we got to figure out where to put him. You know, he's going to start on offense. He's electric. Anybody who's watched the last three state championship runs that they've had with the ball in his hands is something else. So, you know, he's got return ability. He's got a lot of things that have an upside. And, you know, he's a guy that I think he'll benefit, you know, by being here early, and the ability to get into the offense, go through spring football as he makes the transition to receiver, and then we'll see what happens from there. But certainly, you know, he's been a very, very dynamic player at the high school level. And, you know, last time I checked, they don't hand out that Mr. Football award just anybody. He's a pretty good player.
Down front, Brent, and then we'll go Travis on the left.
Would you mind taking us through the recruitment of Kellen Mond and also what you see in him to where he might be able to compete for that job this fall?
Yeah, we had Kellen in camp a few years ago, and he was extremely impressive. You know, and our quarterback situation, his sophomore year, but going into his junior year was a lot different then than it is now. And you know, it also kind of helped that you know through the transfer cycle with Trevor Knight being from the same high school that Kellen Mond was. You know, we had a lot of communication and a lot of things going on there with David Wetzel, the high school coach, and you know he had left the state and gone to IMG, and you know, we were actively recruiting a couple guys there, and our relationship kind of got back up and with his dad and with Kellen. And you know, I think that you know, as he watched Trevor, he's got great respect for Trevor Knight. And as our conversations got more and more, you know, I think he started paying attention about coming back home and playing a little closer, and you know, the opportunity is there for him, particularly as an early graduate. You know, Nick Starkle has done a great job in the off season, has really worked hard physically. He's got great tools, you know, and Connor Blimerick got hurt this year, but you know, all three of those guys are Elite 11 quarterbacks, and you know, they have the ability to be good players. With Jake being here, so we've got the four guys here on right now, and we'll start practice and start weeding things out. So, you know, him being here, he's here to compete. He said that, you know, Connor's a little slowed by the injury, but he'll get going here a little bit later. And then, you know, the Jake and all our other guys are going to be in the mix. But, you know, he's I'll say this about Kellen, you know, once he made his decision, you know, he tried to kind of hold back, and then once he made his decision, he made it. And then he did a heck of a job also, you know, being a voice for us with a lot of other recruits, and in particular, a lot of the guys who are here as early enrollees, the 9 guys who are here already.
Down front, Travis, and then Gabe.
Was Johnny being in town, was that something that was coordinated through the program, or is that something he did on his own? And what did that kind of add to the day-to-day?
I don't know that it added anything to the day. You know, I'd heard he was in my office this morning in the middle of, it was kind of a hectic deal because we got the fax machine going, I got the phone going, and then walks Johnny. So, you know, I knew that he was in town, and, you know, he came by, and then he was wanting to work out and do some stuff today, and I think you know, what I've said before is that you know, Johnny's an Aggie, and he's always going to be an Aggie, and we're always going to be here for him. And you know, we had a conversation that was pretty pointed and pretty direct and really sincere. You know, and where he is right now is in a good place. And I think, his ability to maintain being in that place is not just on him, but on everybody around him to support it. And that's where I come in. That's where people in his life come in. And so, him being here and being the way he was this morning and being sincere, we're always going to be here for him.
Down front, Gabe.
A year ago, I asked you about your midtermers, and you were telling me of early returns already in the weight room from Travion. Are you hearing some early returns from some of these talented 9 players that are already on campus?
Well, I got to hear them because I've been gone up until last weekend. So, it's the first really 2 days back in the office, Monday, Tuesday, and today. We will be, really hitting it with these guys starting next week as a coaching staff. Just communicating with our strength staff right now and what's changed and some of their viewpoints. But I'll be able to answer that a little bit better here after a while. I mean, some of these guys, they just got here, and some guys are further ahead, just like anybody else. You got a training facility like IMG. It's a little bit different than Bremont. So, guys come in here in different levels, so I'll wait until we start spring football actually a month from today, March 1st. There's an announcement for you. So March 1st, and so we've got another real 4-week month cycle of lifting and conditioning, and I'll have a little better feel for it at that point. So that'll put us through. We're like week 3 right now, so we'll get 7 complete weeks with these guys, the new guys, and then with us being in the weight room and being around them for the next month, we'll have a better feel for that.
Second row on the left, Rob.
Coach, can you talk about Anthony Hines and a guy that's had over 100 offers, and you guys were able to get him, and he's talked about the relationships and how you were able to create a family atmosphere for him. Can you talk about that?
Well, he's a guy that it's kind of interesting when they start bringing a guy over from the middle school over to varsity to play football. You better pay attention to who that guy is. He's a guy that obviously we've got great relationships in the Plano School District and Plano East, but I think that it was solidified by John Chavis in his relationship with Mr. Hines and Anthony. He's a guy that we had targeted, this time a couple years ago. A guy that kept coming to our games, coming to our junior days, all kinds of different things. And to be honest with you, we sat there and the last visit. And I said, you've been here so many times. You've asked all the questions. You and your mother, and your dad, and your sister, everybody in the family. So I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing else. This. You've got all the information. And he laughed and he said, I sure do. And then he said, I'm going to call you in a week, and I know what I want to do. And so, that was a relationship based recruitment over years, but also I think his trust in the family's trust in John Chavis went a long way for Anthony Hines to be here. And he's another guy who's here right now, just past him in the hallway, that's working like crazy and wanting to be on the field next year.
Go down front, Travis.
Coach, last year you had a kid commit jumping out of a plane. This year there's a kid who committed on the Eiffel Tower. What do you make of the spectacle that this day's become?
I don't. None of those guys came here, did they? No. There you go. I don't. I don't know. I don't watch all that. I get it. The videos are. We had a couple commitment videos this year that. That's. Every year there's something, and because of social media, everybody's got an opinion, and whether it's right or wrong, and then everybody can be an actor if they want to, I guess. So I don't really get caught up in that. I guess if it's if it's your school he's committing to, you really don't care. If you're just one of the schools that kind of fly by the screen before they get to the end, then I guess it'll bug you. But we really haven't had too much of that.
Down front, Brent, and then second row, Ben.
For those of us who grew up in Houston, there's a last name on here that kind of jumps out at you, Horry. And as an NBA fan, how much of a bonus, whatever you want to call it, was being in that house and maybe seeing those rings?
Yeah, some people saw that. My wife said, how tall is he? You forget how big shot Bob really is. I mean, he's a big man, and that Christmas tree's got to be pretty tall just for him to be in there. So he and Kiva Horry were fantastic people. I spent a lot of time, on Cameron's official visit with Bob, just talking about, his mindset. When you're around a guy who has 7 championships and from 3 different teams, from 3 different, coaches that are I consider to be great coaches, and a guy who didn't just, there's some guys who sit on the bench for a couple of them. This is a guy who played meaningful minutes, in championship play, and they don't call him Big Shot Bob for nothing. And just how that came about and what that mindset is, and team chemistry, things like that. That you really, it was good for me just to talk with him. I mean, I know it kind of slighted Cameron a little bit when I was over there talking to Dad the whole time, but Cameron is very athletic, and it was important in our class with 2 guys that are tight end body prospects and guys that are going to be here that give us options offensively, the real tight ends, and not guys we're moving to that, and because it's a direction that we want to go. We want to give ourselves some more options. We want to give ourselves some more blocking surfaces and some other pass catchers and some different formations. So it was big in recruitment, and he's another guy that people came after hard the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of people in the house, a lot of confusing things, but get him settled down, and he's Cameron's going to come in here, and what is he about I don't know what it says on here, but he looked at me like he was about 260 the other day, 255, looks great, and he'll come in here and be ready to go.
Second row, Ben.
Coach, you've managed to pull another, top-rated class into here. What about this class makes you think that they'll be able to make that translate onto the field, where at the end of the season y'all are ranked the same way y'all are in recruiting?
I think that these guys have a chemistry that's really, really good. And I think, you don't have a class that stays together without a bunch of guys decommitting or going other places or doing something crazy today. That didn't happen. These guys have been recruited and have the relationship with not only us but with each other already that is of a championship mindset. They want to be good. They want to play for it all. And, they've communicated with each other that way. I think, the fact that 9 of them are early graduates speaks to that too. That because you've got to get some things done in high school and be kind of focused to get that done. And then, it's a class that I think it's probably our most complete class since we've been here across the board. We with the exception of our specialists, but all our kickers are pretty young, kickers and punters, and so we had the ability this year to really not to go across the board at every position and really kind of double up on those positions and on a big class that has guys that are going to hit the field next year, and also some guys that may redshirt and build depth at those positions.
Also want to see there was a lot of talk about early signing day getting bumped up. What are your thoughts on that, and where do you fall on that?
It's obviously for us, with these guys being committed a long time ago, it would be easier. The problem is you cannot change the signing date without changing the calendar effectively. So the recruiting calendar, that is. And so my concern would be what the recruiting calendar would look like as far as changes to official visits. You know, there's legislation about official visits in June, about things like that, and contact periods in May. I think that's difficult. You know, if you've got a contact period in May, and you got guys pulling guys out of class, and in the last semester of their junior year, you know, there's 100 and some schools, and you know, you're going to have 3-4 teams a day in high schools pulling this guy out of class to talk to him. There's got to be some legislation about that, you know, where this guy's trying to finish up his junior year, and you know, eligibility comes into play at that point. You know, some guys need their senior year to become eligible. Test scores may or may not have been taken at that point. There's a lot of things that have to change with the recruiting calendar for an early signing date to take place. So, you know, where it is right now, there's difficulties in both, depending on how you recruit. But I really can't see a early signing date, with the exception of maybe one that coincides with junior college signing date. But then again, if that leaves you with really 3 weeks or 2 weeks of a contact period to really get to know a guy for official visits. So that's the issue. It's not just the date. It's when do you get in front of we have less and less time in recruiting to really get to know guys, and you know, to get to know families and get to know the character of a guy, and so more and more mistakes happen that way, and without changing the calendar, you know, you're I think that you know, that would be a real big issue.
Cease, you wrap us up far left.
Kevin, these guys are going to come in and spend a lot of time right off that with the new strength and conditioning folks. And I wonder what you expect from the new people you've brought in.
We expect them to be good. I mean, you know, we've been a part of this where you have to make difficult decisions. That was a very, very difficult one for me. But you know, right now, it's really a change that our players have welcomed, and I think, as I said, you know, as we get back in here and are able to really be a part of what's going on in there, because our coaches, as I said, have been gone. You know, we didn't start school till what was that, the 20th, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King, and so we're all been recruiting up until this weekend. But now that we're back and hands-on with our guys, I think that you know, the feedback has been really, really good from the players. But just like anything else, you know, life pays off on results, and that's what this business is about ultimately. But the direction we're headed, I like right now.
Thanks, Coach.